You're listening to Travel Nursing and Allied Life, hosted by TravCon. Welcome to the next episode of the Travel Nursing and Allied Life podcast. Last week, we had our group on talking about all the different things that they were excited about for TravCon this year. And we had so much to talk about, we actually had to split this into 2 sessions. So this is basically part 2. And we wanted to talk about the sessions that we have at TravCon this year. Phil, who is in charge of all of our educational sessions, has put together such a great lineup. We wanted to highlight a few of those so that you had something to plan for when you were coming to TravCon. So Phil, why don't you start it off and talk about the sessions that you're interested in, either to see this year or that you would recommend?
All right. First of all, let me just say, I didn't put this together by myself. I have a lot of help, a lot of great input from everybody here on this committee and people in the community. So I work at it, but I have a lot of help. This year, we have a lot of great sessions. I'm particularly interested in learning or going to the van life presentation by Skip and Jazz, just because I'm intrigued by it. I've done quite a bit of traveling in an RV. Well, van life is like a subset of RV living. And I think it will appeal to a lot of travelers. I know it does. A lot of them are already doing it. It's particularly interesting for people who want to dabble in stealth camping, which is where you're not necessarily always staying in an RV park, but you're staying in a national park, a state park, in a neighborhood, in the parking lot of the hospital, in a Walmart parking lot, along the beach, places like that you couldn't really do in an ordinary RV like the one that I'm used to traveling in. So I want to attend that.
And by the way, Medical Solutions is bringing a van into the exhibit hall this year.
Great.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
So fits right in.
Yeah.
One of our keynotes I'm particularly fond of, Vinay Prasad, Dr. Prasad. He might be familiar to a lot of people that watch this podcast, listen to it. He's frequently on with Z-Dog. They have a joint podcast. I can't remember the name of it, but they are just great medical communicators. And he's going to talk to us about how we can be better medical communicators. And one of the things that we have to do is be authoritative and factual when we're communicating with people at work or in the community. A lot of us are, relied upon as unbiased sources of information. So he's gonna talk to us about how to really be credible in our medical communications. And let me squeeze one more quick one in here. Jeff Solheim comes in and teaches something great every year. This is a session. The one that I'm interested in is chest X-rays for non-radiologists. So I'm an ER nurse, but any nurse especially, and respiratory therapists, people that have an occasion to look at a chest X-ray will benefit from this class. Just how to see a pneumothorax, or how to recognize pneumonia or COPD or a hemothorax, things that are midline shift. These are things that we might be the first ones to spot, and we might even bring it to the attention of the doctor because we look at these chest X-rays, and he's going to give us a good class on that.
That's awesome. That sounds really good. Cynthia, how about you? Do you have any topics that you're excited about?
I do. And that can be hard to choose because we have over 40 sessions and they're all amazing. But I'll point out 3, since you asked for 3. One would be the state of the market, meaning the state of the traveling healthcare professional industry, right? Like, are there going to be a lot of jobs? I mean, we've just been through COVID. That's kind of still, what's going to happen. And the speaker, Steve Wen, is extraordinarily qualified. He is a VP with AMN Healthcare, but he has been in the travel healthcare staffing industry forever. In fact, he and I always joke, we think, and I think it's true, that we are the oldest living people still working in this industry, right? Don't think there's anyone else. We literally both started in the 1980s. Not an exaggeration, but anyway, he knows his stuff. He's seen it all. He's seen every cycle.
One thing he's going to bring up, if you didn't mention it, is there's a lot of talk about legislation to cap travelers' salaries, wages, and he knows all about that.
Oh, good.
He's
Oh,
gonna.
that would be awesome.
He, again, I mentioned he's a VP with AMN Healthcare. Obviously, that's a large company with a lot of resources. They have a whole governmental division and lobbying, and he's on that. And he literally flies to Washington, D.C. all the time. So he has his ear on the ground. He definitely knows what's going on. So I think that's going to be fascinating. And I would definitely recommend that session. And then, on another note, completely different track, we have a session on overcoming compassion fatigue. And I think that's probably near and dear to a lot of
people,
providers' hearts. I mean, especially lately. Super excited about that. I think that the timing couldn't be better. And even if you take away one thing from that session, that can help you, that will be a win. And then, Michelle, I think the third, last but certainly not least, we're having a diversity session that's going to be led by Emily Cheng and Jonathan Pierre, that are longtime traveler supporters and have both exhibited with us in the past. They're also active travelers that run businesses, and they're really going to lead an honest and really productive conversation about diversity, equity, and inclusion, specifically as it relates to being a traveler, being a traveling healthcare professional.
Yeah.
And again, it's open to everyone. I mean, you might be a person of color, you could be an ally, or just, anybody who really has an open mind and heart that wants to kind of participate in this dialogue. So that's another one that I would place high up on your list.
That'll be great. That'll be a really interesting conversation to be part of.
Yes.
How about you, Julia?
There's so much I'm excited about. I don't know if the viewers know this, but almost everybody on this call is going to be teaching at Newbie Bootcamp. So we're going to be teaching all the newbies. And by newbies, we mean new travelers, wannabe travelers, or travelers who have just never attended Newbie Bootcamp, because the information there is so important to hear. We want everybody attending to hear it. So we're all going to be teaching Newbie Bootcamp, where we go over the basics of traveling, like how to understand pay rate, interview, send your resume, all that stuff. It's all really important. And it's a really social day too. It's a whole day. If you show up, you get lunch, you get a reception. So it's really an amazing time. I'm excited for that. I'll be doing 2 sessions there.
And it's basically, it doesn't take away from the conference time, because it's a whole pre-conference day ahead of time. So that's on the Sunday, kind of gets everybody prepared to be able to move forward and do Monday, Tuesday at the main event.
Yeah, and kind of same with medical Spanish. There's medical Spanish class the day before and the day after. And that's an all-day course. And you get to learn medical Spanish, which I don't know if you guys know this, but I went to Central America, to Costa Rica, and I went to Mexico for a couple months to learn Spanish. And I'm always trying to improve my Spanish. And that's just one more course that can help in the medical setting. So I'm really excited about that. I hear the instructor's fabulous.
She's awesome. She's taught it the last few years. Her name's Tracy Long, and she really works at repeat, say it, do it, say it, do, so you come out having really spoken a lot of Spanish in that time.
She's also super fun. I mean, I've walked by her class, and she sometimes has music going.
Yeah.
And
people are laughing.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like a party.
Yeah.
But they learn a lot.
And it's always full. People love her sessions.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome.
That's a good pick.
Yeah. But last but not least, and another one that I'm doing in conjunction with Brian Payne, owner of Furnish Finder, is how to find housing and avoid scams.
You mean
Brian
there's scams
Payne,
out there?
oh my gosh. Brian Payne is the expert in avoiding housing scams.
Yeah.
This guy's dedicated his life to scouring Facebook and scouring the internet to block people from scamming you. And he knows so much. So him and I are going to do
all.
Yeah. He's been running Furnish Finder forever. So him and I are going to do a session about not only how to find housing, but how to identify and avoid scams, because that happens to so many travelers. They specifically target travel nurses to try to scam them out of money. We're a vulnerable population.
Perfect.
Terrible.
Love it. Oh, it'll be great. Trish, how about you? You got any on your radar?
You know what? There are so many things. You can't get to them all, and it just kind of makes you mad.
Yeah.
So all of us as travelers, we love to travel.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of talk about how do we get to good travel out of the country. So we do have the session on working in Australia.
Right.
Oh, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think it's our second year with them, and it's really amazing. They talk about, what it takes to get there, what it's like when you get there, and
Yeah.
I just think that it's a great thing to hear for those who want to get out of this country and travel elsewhere.
And they need nurses and healthcare travelers just as much as we do. So they're trying to recruit the Americans.
Yes, and then we're on a shortage and they're trying to take us. But
Yeah. Yeah.
That's experience for us. We get to learn it. And then, of course, near and dear to my heart, because I do travel in an RV. So we do have a session on traveling in an RV. I think it's great. It talks about different types of RVs, different types of parks, how to find them, how to locate what you need. It's just so informative for those who are interested in trying to get out of an apartment, be a little more mobile, maybe be in the country more, whatever it is that they travel with families. They can, they come in big sizes, so you can put a whole big old family in there if you want to. Yeah. And so I'm really excited about the travel with RVs because
that's a couple that teaches that, right? It's Steve and Teresa Rothganger.
Yes.
So, and they travel in an RV.
And they cover the different types of RVs too, I believe. So it kind of gives you.
Yeah, it helps you if you're thinking about buying one.
Yep.
It'll give you information to make a good choice.
For you. So I think it's a great session, and I'm really excited about it. So if you're thinking about living in an RV or you think that's something, make sure you make that session.
Awesome. That's some good choices. Cyndi, how about you? What do you have on your radar?
Well, one of the new things that we're going to have this year is a dedicated room where we have multiple specialty sessions, something that's maybe a little different, for the traveling healthcare professional. There'll be a session involving case management for anybody who's interested in getting involved with, helping to manage patient care. There's wellness for the provider. Oh my gosh, is that ever a timely?
We need that.
A timely and ever-present topic after the last couple of years we've had and the uncertainty that we still face. Wellness for the provider. I sometimes tell people to remember the airline philosophy. You have to put your own oxygen mask on first before you can assist others.
And then you pick your favorite child to put the other one on, right?
Yeah.
But taking care of yourself is an ever-present thing that we as healthcare providers are always very good at putting ourselves last, and when we need to move ourselves up the list. And that session, I'm sure, will be discussing various ways that we can do that for ourselves.
Yeah.
There's also going to be a session on travel partner options. Many people travel with their friend or a spouse or a significant other. The traveling healthcare professional is off at work. What does your travel partner do? So it sounds like they'll be talking about some good options for our travel partners in order to make the experience just as rewarding for them. Mm-hmm. And then some financial basic training. We always can use a little bit of extra help in better ways to manage our money and to make it work just as hard as we do in order to earn that money. So there'll be a few sessions that he'll be repeating on that. So
travelers are notorious for planning their retirement way too late. They
yes.
put it off and put it off. Late starters will benefit from this.
I heard a recent statistic going like 40% of Americans have, 2,000 saved up in their savings.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely a topic I was 26 years old before I found out a lot of this investing stuff, and I was a well-educated individual at that point, about to graduate grad school, and we just don't get taught this at any point in any curriculum.
No.
So important.
And nobody wants to talk about it because you don't know where to start. So I really like it. It sounds like he's pretty laid back. He's there for several hours, and it's kind of like a Q&A approach too as well. You ask whatever questions you want and he'll help answer those.
Yep.
And I'll put in a word of referral for him. He's my friend's brother, and my friend is basically set to retire at 45 based on his health. So
nice.
Very good.
We all make a good living. We bring home a good paycheck.
Yeah,
and,
my friend is obviously
just managing.
Thought goes into it. You can any of us can retire. Well, I didn't.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, one more thing I just wanted to throw in there is there's going to be a session that talks about the career choice of remote nursing. Telehealth has really has really accelerated in the age of COVID. And so remote nursing offers a lot of unique opportunities out there. So we've got an expert who's going to come and let us know just what kinds of remote nursing are available. And, if you're interested in staying home a little bit more, or need to be home to take care of children or aging parents, or whatever your situation would be, how to jump in on that kind of a thing so you can still continue to contribute to healthcare, still make a good living, and yet fulfill the other parts of your life that you need.
I'm going to take a stab and say that might be one of the most popular sessions.
There's a lot of people that are asking questions about that.
That's going to be really popular.
I think so.
Cynthia, what do you have excited
Oh my gosh.
about?
Again, we have so many great sessions, and I'll tell you, being on the TravCon committee, you're really, really busy at TravCon, and we don't always have time to go to a lot of sessions. And I was able to slip away into two. And one of the ones I picked was by Gina Carbino, and she spoke on nurse serial killers, and it was fascinating.
It was full. It was frighteningly full that way.
It was actually the busiest session.
I don't know what that means, or if that's good or bad, that nurse serial killers got the highest.
We all contemplate it pretty much daily.
But she was amazing, so we're bringing her back. And this year, she's going to do plants that kill. Not people killing, now plants. And we're going to learn about the most infamous plants and, their poisonous, ways that they can kill. So I think that's cool. I'm definitely going to try to sneak away and attend that session. And then on another note, we talked about Australia. We have Melanie Theriac and Joni Rainier. They are longtime members of the healthcare staffing industry.
They are so good.
They're amazing. Yeah, they do great speeches, but they've done a lot of destination assignments. So they're going to talk about working in Hawaii, and they've staffed that area. They've sent thousands of travelers over the years to Hawaii. So they know all about it. They know the good, the bad, the ugly, what to be prepared for. They're very interesting. They'll probably wear like a costume and a lei around their neck. They'll dress up for the presentation. But I think working in Hawaii will be very popular. And then we have not one, but two sessions on medical missions. So Hawaii's great, Australia, but some people really want to kind of give back. Maybe, go to Guatemala or Africa and really help out.
Mercy ships.
Ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Mercy. So we have one presentation given by Erica Harvett. She's an active traveler. She's a TravCon veteran. And then another session by Mercy ships. And so maybe a lot of people have heard of them, but they're literally a large ship, and they do, palate surgeries and all kinds of things for underprivileged.
And they take anyone. You don't have to be a nurse. They'll take anyone to be on there because they have so many different roles, and then so many different.
They start on the north and they go to the south. They go all down the west coast of Africa.
Yeah,
and they have two big ships. They're both gigantic, more than 500 feet long, big ships. And
so so many things to just kind of bite into and learn more about.
Now we've hit so many sessions. I don't know if there's any left, Dylan. Do you have any that haven't been touched on yet?
Absolutely. Being in the Allied room and kind of putting that together. Cynthia, I think it was you that told me, and I was surprised to find out that Allied as a collective whole is actually a bigger travel market than travel nurses. And so every year it seems like we're doubling in our Allied attendance, which I want to continue and have this eventually turn into an Allied conference, but that's my own personal goal. But so the more that we get on these specific professions that can come, the more niche and unique that we can have these sessions. So there's quite a mix this year. We're finally able to bring back a travel radiology session. So very excited for Corey Light to be stepping into that. She's gonna be talking about state licensing, experiences, kind of the orientation, all the specific stuff that kind of goes into that niche profession for each of us that can be different depending on, which specialty you're working in. After that, we do have the returning very, very popular recruiter panel. This year is going to be travel therapy. And so this is a repeat one of I think it was 3 years ago, we did our very first one, and I'm going to be moderating it. We have recruiters from Host Healthcare, Andrews Group, and Fusion Medical Staffing that will be joining. And I'm pretty much there to lead the questions and to make sure that they don't talk longer than 2 minutes, because surprise, surprise, recruiters like to talk. So we're going to be very prompt and get to all the questions. And then we have another TravCon vet coming back, Norma Vivona. She's going to be talking about navigating lab licensure this year. It's more of a roundtable lab. We do have a smaller group of attendants, but it's a very important attendance. And so she kind of likes that interpersonal section anyway. So we usually set up the chairs. It's more of a conversation. It's really, really cool to sit in on. And then finally, we do have a new one this year, Side Hustles for Travelers. This will be by Dr. Steve and Ellen Stockhausen, and they have more fingers and more pies than I've ever seen any couple, and they just
they're a busy pair.
Yes, they are
very, very busy. I mean, oh my god,
they're really
they
interesting.
Take time for us. They always take time for TravCon.
Yes,
yeah, they do. That's an
They
awesome
do.
lineup. You know, two that I was just thinking about when you mentioned Steve and Ellen was I totally love listening to two of the young guys that come. One of them is Aaron Highfill. And there was a comment, he talked years ago about all the different things he was doing. And somebody actually put a comment in and said, I don't think he's telling the truth. He looks too young to have done everything that he's done.
Yeah.
And he's done so many different things. So he's just finished I think it's his master's at Oxford University. And he's very much into
In England, yes. So.
Yeah. Extreme travel in the COVID era is what he's doing. And, you know, it's really he's done so many things where he's gone over to Africa and he's dealt with Ebola and he's done flight nursing. And
he's an aeronautical flight nurse. So
he's done so many experiences. It's fascinating listening to him. And then for another totally clinical topic is Landon James. And Landon's put together this topic that's called 60 in 60. And it's basically 60 clinical minutes in rapid fire in 60 minutes. And he just goes and goes and goes and goes. And it's all current stuff. So it's all the stuff that's happened this year.
New medical pearls.
So if you want to get the most bang information on all types of clinical, not just nursing, but just medical info and the most current, that's the session to go to. And one other I interviewed earlier this year on a podcast is the Diana and Valerie from the Academy of Forensic Nursing. And they're going to talk about, so I work in the ER and a few of us do, the little things that you can do, even if you're not a forensic expert and you're not they don't call them sane nurses anymore because apparently patients thought they were being insane. And there's a certain term for them now, but even if you're not a qualified forensic person, there's still things you can do that will preserve the evidence just from right in the get-go when somebody comes into the ER or somebody that you discover has had an issue. And they're going to give certain tips on how to preserve the evidence and do your thing right from the beginning. So really good sessions.
Still take care of the patient.
Well, I don't know how you're going to do it as an attendee. There's just way too many sessions to hit up. Not to worry, we do work hard at trying to get these on our website. We're just a little behind on what they were from last year, but we're going to do our darndest to do it this year and get them up on our website. But don't stress, enjoy what you can see. You'll find a whole bunch of information on the app. We're going to do a podcast on how to run the TravCon app. You'll find information on there and on our website with all the different sessions. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time to share. We'll see you at TravCon.
See you there.
Love you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to Travel Nursing and Allied Life. You can find the full show notes below or at travcon.org. Please help us out by rating our podcast on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.